Alright, well, hey there, guys. Welcome back to the Depressed in Session podcast. It is me, Weedman, coming at you again this week with just another solo episode. Once again, didn't really work out with everyone's schedules to go ahead and record together. Um, so it's just me this week. Again, I apologize for the lack of diversity, I guess, in the cast. With it just being a lot of solo episodes recently. I know Rolf was in the one last week. That was a blast. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure to go check that out. We basically just talked about a bunch of like childhood games and like things we did as kids and flash games and like PS2 and Xbox games and stuff like that. The games were like really important to us as children. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, go ahead and go and check last week's episode out. In terms of this week, like I said, it's just gonna be me, and I'm gonna be talking about like the what I want for the podcast and where I want it to go and what I'm hoping will be the case in the future and the things I want out of it, basically. But before I get into that, once again, I would just like to reiterate that this is not just a solo podcast with just me. There are three other members of it. It's me, Rolf, Hallmark, and Poolboy. And then also Fat Man joins every now and again. It's just recently we've all been really busy with life. I'm sure everyone above the age of 14 knows what it's like for life to get busy and get in the way of certain things. We're really trying our hardest. We're really going to be getting back on this content horse soon for you guys and uploading more and uploading better quality videos and better quality content. Possibly some live streams here and there. That's in the works right now. Another thing we're kind of working on right now is, or at least that I've kind of been working on and looking at. I haven't really pitched it to any of the boys yet, so I guess this will be a little exclusive sneak peek for you guys. But I'm looking into recording and uploading uploading videos on old PS2 games or old Xbox 360 games or old Wii games, or basically just playing old games and making videos out of those. Now, again, I haven't pitched it to any of the other boys, so I don't know when or if this will be in actuality. However, me and Rolf did talk about it last podcast. So we both seem to be down for it. I just got to get with him and talk about some of the logistics about buying everything. I've already looked up all the setup for it, and I know how to do it. I just obviously I don't have the parts. I do have the PS2, thankfully, because my family has been pretty good about holding on to those older systems. So I have the PlayStation 2, which is probably the hardest part of that whole setup, is acquiring an old PlayStation 2 that's in good condition and works. I do still need to find a CRT TV, because the way we're going to have it set up, or at least the idea that I have as of right now and the plan, is that we're going to have the PS2, we're going to have a bunch of different video converters and cables going everywhere, but it's going to go from the PS2 to be split off to a computer and to a CRT TV. We'll be looking at the CRT TV and playing off of that, because that is the true aspect ratio and the true look of how it's supposed to be. So for us, it'll be proper, and then it'll just be going to the computer to record. So it's probably going to look a little bit different for you guys, because obviously you can't really screen record a CRT TV. That's just not in actuality unless I put a camera like in front of it. But that's ugly, so I'm not going to be doing that. So yeah, like I said, I don't know when or if that'll be out or coming, but that is something that I genuinely want to do. And from the last podcast, it sounds like Rolf really does too, and I'm sure Poolboy and Hallmark will want to get in on it too, because I think it's a pretty cool idea. I really do, and I'm really looking forward to doing it. Obviously, I know it's not like groundbreaking. There's a lot of other channels that cover old games and already record gameplay of PS2 and PlayStation 3 and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's fun, and it's something that I want to do. It's also a challenge just because of the setup. You know what I mean? Because I've never set anything up that big with converters, in terms of like going from, because you got to go from PS2 to the what is it? AVI is, I'm pretty sure, the native connection for PlayStation 2, but you got to go from that to I think it's like DisplayPort, and then you got to go DisplayPort to HDMI. Then obviously from the HDMI you go to the HDMI splitter. One of them going to the CRT TV, which needs a HDMI to AVI converter again, except the opposite way. And then obviously the computer you can just plug straight in with HDMI. Thankfully. I think there's a couple extra steps in there. I don't really remember. It's been a while since I've looked at the list of everything you actually do need. But obviously I'm not going to bore you guys with that tech shit, the setup stuff that no one really likes to, hear about or talk about on podcasts. I mean, personally, I love it. I love setting things up and figuring things out and getting content working, and I just love that stuff. I do, but I understand that not everyone does, so I'm not going to take your time and talking about this any longer than I already have been. All right, getting on to the main topic of this podcast. The plans for the podcast and where I want it to go. Um, so basically, I know as of right now, things aren't looking too good. Content hasn't really been the best quality it could be. Mainly the podcast, just because it's been like a bunch of solo episodes, and hell, I think even like 2 weeks ago, I literally just did an emergency like update, like, hey, sorry, there's no podcast this week, and I am very sorry about that we missed that week. So obviously the main focus right now is getting back on track and just recording and editing and getting things out properly and not having to stress so much, because the past like month and a half, almost every single video has been finished and uploaded the night before. Hell, even some of them have been finished and uploaded a couple hours before they were supposed to go up. So things have been really by the seat of our pants and rough these past 2 months probably. So right now my main focus is getting back on that and getting things ahead and not having to be so rushed and having things be done properly and in a good time and fashion. So in terms of like production, things aren't looking too good right now, but I do fully intend on getting ahead and producing more. And obviously the other boys, they want to and will be doing more editing and just pitching ideas as well. Like the PS2 video game thing I mentioned, that was essentially Rolf's idea. I mean, I obviously talked it through with him, but he was the one that actually came up with the idea and pitched it. So that's part of the reason I'm really wanting to get that made. So actually, in terms of numbers, funnily enough, we're doing better than we probably ever have. It's like, yeah, we have 22 subscribers, which we were at before, and then someone unsubscribed. So we could have had like 23 or 24 by now, but hey, what are you going to do? But like in the last 28 days, we've gotten 106 views. And that's and the typical range from what YouTube says is 50 to 80. So we've almost doubled our typical range of views, which is very, very good. And that makes me very happy. Almost all of them, pretty much all of them, have exclusively been from the Cuphead videos. It's like one of them has 26, the other 13, one of them has 30 and 35, 34, 15. I don't know what it is about this Cuphead series, but it's been doing numbers for us, and that's part of the reason I'm putting so much time and effort into it, is because this is the first thing we've had that's been somewhat successful. Like, yeah, we've had some podcasts that actually here, let me see the highest. Which the most viewed one I think has probably 20 or 30. I don't really remember. But in terms of like overall, the fact that the Cuphead videos have this amount with only 9 videos, and the podcast obviously will have 37 by the time this 37 has 37 by the time this one comes out. The Cuphead videos are really successful. And I'm kind of glad, because I have been putting a lot of work into them, just because I don't know what it is, but I enjoy editing Cuphead. Like, obviously it's a fun game to play, but I enjoy the process of editing it, and I could not tell you why. I think it's just a game structure that I can kind of like logically understand, and I can understand the patterns for editing it and what works and what doesn't work. I've also been putting in a lot more work into titles and also thumbnails specifically, because obviously for the podcast, it's literally just our logo for our logo and the number for the thumbnail. But for the Cuphead videos, I've been going in and getting screenshots from the game, and I'm adding text. And like for the one where we did Calamaria and Rumor Honeybottoms, I edited in Calamaria's head to the what do you call it, like battleground or whatever, the level for Rumor Honeybottoms. That was kind of a roundabout way I did that. So I use the Movavi for everything. I could not tell you why, but I use Movavi Video Editor and Movavi Photo Editor. The photo editor genuinely does kind of suck, but it is what it is. It's what I got. So I went into there. I had a photo of Kyler Murray, and I wanted to. I don't remember what it's called. It was like the freehand select thing where you can like draw what you want to select from a photo. Movavi didn't have that, so I was like, I got to figure this out. And so I went through a bunch of different other things and tried this and tried that, and just nothing was working. And so I was like, you know what? Let me try MS Paint. And so I went into MS Paint, and it kind of worked somehow. I don't remember what it was. They had a selector tool that was more akin to it, but it wasn't really good. And so I was like, well, this is closer. So I had a first draft, but the editing of it was clear that it just wasn't properly cropped out because there's so many like rough edges and stuff. Um, but then I stumbled upon this thing that I didn't even know existed, which is MS Paint 3D or Paint 3D or whatever it's called, which is a MS Paint but in a 3D space for like 3D model design or 3D art, I guess. I don't know. But in there, it had a magic selector tool, which was literally what I was looking for the entire time I was doing this. So I was able just to isolate Kyler Murray's head and get that like cut out or cropped from the rest of the photo and just paste that into the other thumbnail. So that thumbnail is definitely the hardest I've worked on a thumbnail, at least for the podcast. In my old YouTube channel that I had when I was a kid, I remember there being a couple thumbnails that I put a pretty decent amount of work into, but definitely in terms of the podcast, that thumbnail is the most labor intensive one. And I'm proud of it, honestly. Like, it took me, I mean, it only took me maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I don't really remember. It didn't take me like 5 hours to do or anything, but I was really proud of it when it was done because I didn't give up mainly, you know what I mean? Because I could have just got like, oh, Movavi doesn't have a tool for me to do this, so oh well. But I still found a workaround and found a way to do it. And it's like every single element of the thumbnail I just think is very, see, now I want to say perfect, but I understand that not everything's perfect, or really nothing's perfect. But it's like looking at it just like how Cuphead is reacting, how it has the buzz saw, and the head and everything else about it. I was really proud of how it turned out. I'm rambling. Anyway, so in terms of numbers, the podcast is actually doing pretty good, and it's pretty much all thanks to the Cuphead videos. I'm not even gonna front; these Cuphead videos have been doing fucking numbers for us. So there's definitely going to be more of those. Definitely. Honestly, I'm thinking about leaning kind of more heavily into the gaming videos anyway. Specifically for that reason of the numbers. It's like you kind of got to go where the money flows. You know what I mean? And so if the podcast just isn't really getting views, then I'm going to put more of my attention on the gaming videos and what actually is working, because that's unfortunately the logical thing to do. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the podcast format, and I think I'll always do something like it to some capacity, just because I like being able to sit down with my friends and talk. You know what I mean? That's just a fun thing for me to do, and I'm just gonna keep doing it, even if it doesn't like be successful. You know what I mean? Because it's something I genuinely enjoy. I'm rambling again. And it's like even with the average view durations, like the most recent one, our best video yet, it has an average view duration of 42.3, which is pretty fucking unheard of for us. Our average view duration is down, or currently anyway. We're at a minute 30, and the typical range is 149 to 217. So that does kind of suck, but yeah, it is what it is. So production wise, everything's going to shit, but numbers wise, everything's looking up. And I don't know what that means or why that is the way that it is, or really how to. Oh, I know how to remedy it, because if I can get the production under control, then obviously the numbers would go even more. But yeah, so that's how the podcast currently stands. Now, obviously, in the future, I would love to make this my career and my full-time job or whatever, just making content and doing creative things and all of that, because that's my passion. That's what I feel gives me purpose, and it's what I'm going to keep doing no matter what. Even if I had to do this shit for free for my entire life, I would. It's something I enjoy. So obviously in the future, I want this thing to be successful, and I want, all of us to work on it. It's like I kind of want it to be where the depression session is like it's like a hub kind of thing. It's like the everyone together, but then each of us have our own little side things that we do for content. You know what I mean? So it's like we'll have the podcast and the gaming videos on this channel, and then we'll have other channels of my personal videos, Rolf's personal videos, Pool Boy's personal videos, Hallmark, Fat Man, Lithium, anyone else. You know what I mean? They all just have personal videos. Obviously, I know that that's not gonna be exactly how it is because obviously not everyone wants to do that, and that's okay with me. But I would like this to be a group thing that we all contribute to in our own ways, and there's different like subsections of it for people to watch and enjoy. Because I could make content that person A enjoys, and Ralph's content they might not like that, while person B likes Ralph's content and not my content. And so it's a way of not only like growing the audience, but like diversifying it and making it a little more stable because there's different things everywhere. You know what I mean? Just I want it to be like a widespread kind of. There was a while I was thinking about. I was like, well, I mean, eventually it could turn into like a multimedia company, and we like hire people and like make proper like high production videos. But that's a little. It's a little too corporate for me. I don't really want that anymore. I mean, obviously I would love it, but yeah, that's I think that's a little too much to worry about, especially right now. Um, so I'm stopped thinking that way essentially, just because even if it does ever get that way or has the opportunity to go that way, obviously I would. But as of right now, that's not the way it's going, so I'm not gonna bother worrying about it. Now, other things I would like to do in terms of content. Obviously, we're gonna keep Monday podcasts and Friday gaming videos. One thing I still have to bounce off the guys, but I'm thinking of doing a weekly, like, not a weekly, sorry, a group Twitch channel. So it'll just be this one Twitch channel that we all have access to, and we can just stream whatever and whenever we want. That's basically it. There's nothing else to really say about that. It's just a group Twitch that we all can stream to and do whatever we want. I think that'd be really fun and a really good idea for extra content. In terms of Wednesdays, I do want to I do want to put out some form of content on Wednesdays. Just so Monday there's video, Wednesday there's a video, and Friday there's a video. I just don't understand what kind of content I want out on Wednesdays. I was thinking a Wednesday live stream, every Wednesday on the YouTube channel, but I don't think. I don't know. This just doesn't really feel right. I think the group Twitch channel would work out better. Couldn't tell you why I feel that way. It's just the way I feel. um, we had thought about it and talked about it a little bit in the past where every Wednesday is a personal video from one of us, and it's like Monday it'll be, or sorry, the first week of the month the Wednesday video will be from me, then the next week Wednesday will be from Rolf, and next Wednesday will be Pool Boy, and yada yada yada, and so on and so on. I think that would probably be the best idea, the one that would fit the channel theme and purpose a little bit. Well, not a little bit, but the best. I do think that would be the best way of doing it. It's just that's a hard thing to schedule. You know what I mean? Especially with all of us being so busy right now, is that I don't know if all of us could do that, myself included. You know what I mean? Because it would add an extra video that I had to make a month, which obviously one video a month isn't hard in the grand scheme of things. It's really not, but there's so much going on right now that it seems a lot more daunting than it should be because I just don't have as much free time anymore to devote to this, which is very unfortunate and I hate it, but this too shall pass and I'm just doing my best as of right now. All right, so yeah, that's basically the main topic, I guess, of this podcast. This one's feels very short to me, but honestly I'm enjoying this. I'm just at my desk right now, just doing this on my desk microphone. Usually when I do a solo episode, I would either go to my car and set up the recording there like I do for the normal podcast, or I'd go in my closet that I have converted into a sound booth. But this one, I don't know, I decided to just kind of sit at my desk and not on my desk. I just decided to sit at my desk and just kind of chill and talk to you guys and just kind of have a nice little session. You know what I mean? I don't know. This has been very relaxed, and I think I might do this more for solo episodes. This is honestly really fun. I hope you guys are enjoying these more solo episodes. I kind of am, honestly. There's just something nice about just sitting down and talking, just by yourself, you know, and thinking of something to talk about and talking about it. I know this episode probably wasn't the most entertaining because it's literally just talking about my goals and what I want to do with the podcast, which we've touched on so many times before. But that's kind of all I can come up with. It's it's a Sunday night at 11:50 p.m. So, and I still have to edit this whole thing and get it uploaded before tomorrow at 12. It's not hard. I'm gonna do it when I'm done with this. It'll take me like maybe an hour, and it'll be up, not up, but it'll be uploading. um, yeah, you know what? I think with that, I'm gonna go ahead and just make this a shorter episode and not really drag it on for you guys. Because if I were to go to reach for the 30-minute mark, I would quite literally just be rambling and wasting your guys' time and talking about random stuff that isn't really pertinent to the episode. So with that, that'll go ahead and conclude this episode of the Depression Session podcast. Thank you guys for joining and tuning in and listening. I really appreciate it. Come back this Friday at 12 p.m. for another Cuphead video with me and Poolboy playing Cuphead on expert mode. Videos have been doing numbers. I've been putting a lot of editing work into those. So if you want to see probably the best videos we've ever made, go check those out. Come back next Monday at 12 p.m. for another podcast episode. It should be me and Poolboy if everything this week goes well. If not, I'll be right back here again. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And remember that just like this podcast, depression is just a session, and it too soon shall pass. So we will see you guys next Monday at 12 for another podcast. Goodbye.